Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your Friday Night Smackdown post-show. And we got a lot to talk about, man, when it pertains to SmackDown, so we're going to get into it right here, right now. We start off the night with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky coming out to the ring. Rhea grabs a microphone, as well as Io Sky. Rhea talks about the Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend, and what the Kabuki Warriors have done as of late. Io then grabs a microphone and says that there's nowhere to hide and yells Wargames. The crowd erupts and says Wargames as well. Rhea then brings out Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Alexa and Charlotte come out to the ring with microphones in hand. Alexa talks about Wargames and that she is all in for this match at Wargames. Charlotte then picks up the microphone and says that she is out. Charlotte said that she does not like Rhea Ripley nor trust Rhea Ripley as well. Then Charlotte tells everyone that she is out of the match at Wargames and then leaves the ring. Looks like some interesting stuff there between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Moving on from that, we have a last time is now first round tournament matchup. It is Jey Uso taking on The Miz. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Jey and The Miz, with Jey keeping the pace of the match. The Miz then takes a play out of John Cena's playbook by hitting a 5-knuckle shuffle on Jey Uso in the middle of the ring, followed by a skull-crushing finale for a near fall. Uso then somehow gets up, hits a spear on The Miz, followed by Jey Uso going to the top rope, hitting an Uso splash off the top rope, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and advancing in the Last Time Is Now tournament is Jey Uso. Hats off to Jey Uso for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the U.S. Open Challenge. It is Dragunov defending the U.S. title against Axiom. I thought the match itself was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Dragunov and Axiom, with Dragunov keeping the pace of the match. Dragunov and Axiom both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Axiom hitting a springboard backflip type maneuver into a DDT on Dragunov for a near fall. Axiom then goes to the top rope with Dragunov. Axiom hits a Spanish fly on Dragunov off the top rope, but Dragunov somehow gets up, hits his signature H-bomb on Axiom, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and still United States champion is Dragunov. Hats off to Dragunov for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we had Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes out to the ring with microphone in hand. Zayn then says that he's seen the highs and lows on SmackDown. Zayn also talks about what he did with the U.S. Open Challenge. Zayn then talks about the Solo Sikoa and the MFTs. Zayn then calls out Solo Sikoa. Solo and the MFTs are here. Solo then says that he knows the real Sami. Solo then says that Sami only cares about Sami. Solo then says that he's coming for Zayn once he is medically cleared. Zayn then has a smirk on his face and says, well, you know what? I'm medically cleared tonight. Zayn then says that he did not come alone. Nakamura, the Motor City Machine Guns, and Rey Fenix attack the MFTs. Solo and Zayn then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with the MFTs attacking Zayn, but Nakamura, the Motor City Machine Guns, and Rey Fenix end up saving Sami Zayn. So it looks like Zayn and Solo have some unfinished business. Moving on from that, we have LA Knight versus a mystery opponent in the Last Time Is Now tournament. LA Knight comes out to the ring. He is waiting for who this mystery opponent is, and that mystery opponent is none other than Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder comes out to the ring. Referee sounds for the bell. The match itself was a good match. It was a back-and-forth match between LA Knight and Zack Ryder. LA Knight was keeping the pace of the match, but Ryder hits a Rough Rider for a near fall on LA Knight, but LA Knight hits his signature BFT on Zack Ryder, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and advancing in the Last Time Is Now tournament is LA Knight. Hats off to LA Knight for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got Jade Cargill taking on B-Fab. I thought this was an okay match at best. Glorified squash match, if you ask me. Jade Cargill was keeping the pace throughout the entire match, with Jade hitting a fall-away slam followed by a choke slam and multiple power bombs from Jade landing on B-Fab, with Jade ultimately hitting her signature Jaded on B-Fab in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Jade Cargill. Hats off to Jade Cargill for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have Nick Aldis backstage making announcements for the competitors and matches in the Last Time Is Now tournament. And those matches and competitors are as followed. Nick Aldis announces that it will be Carmelo Hayes taking on Bronson Reed, followed by Penta taking on Finn Balor in the Last Time Is Now tournament. Some interesting matches there for the Last Time Is Now tournament. And speaking of Bronson Reed, we go into our main event of Friday Night SmackDown. It is Cody Rhodes defending the Universal title against Bronson Reed. The match itself, I thought, was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Rhodes and Reed, with Reed keeping the pace of the match. Reed then hits a jagged edge on Rhodes in the middle of the ring for a near fall. Rhodes then somehow gets up, hits a Cody Cutter on Reed for a near fall. Then out of nowhere, Braun Breaker and Logan Paul attack Rhodes. The referee sounds for the bell. Usos are here as well. Usos then attack Breaker and Logan Paul, while the Usos also hit a 1D on Logan Paul. Then the Usos go to the top rope, but McIntyre comes out of nowhere and attacks the Usos. Nick Aldis is here. He runs down the ramp, but he looks like he's pissed off. Him and Heyman get face-to-face, and Heyman tells Aldis that he can choose anybody he wants. After this, Braun Breaker hits a spear on Jay, sending Jey Uso through a table. McIntyre then hits a Claymore kick on Rhodes quickly, followed by Reed going to the top rope, hitting Tsunami off the top rope, landing on Cody Rhodes. After that, you can hear on commentary that McIntyre pretty much joined the Vision with one more spot remaining. Some interesting stuff there between Drew McIntyre and the Vision. A couple of things I want to talk about with you guys, man, pertaining to Friday Night SmackDown. Number one, did I think SmackDown was a decent show? It was a decent show at best. I don't think right now you can really expect a lot of goodness, if you will, coming out of SmackDown. I think one of the best things coming out of SmackDown right now, honestly, would have to be the United States Open Challenge. Whether you're looking at it from Sami Zayn to Dragunov, I think it's the one thing that everybody really anticipates watching Friday Night SmackDown, because it's always unexpected. We don't know who Dragunov is going to defend that United States Championship against. The past couple of weeks, we got Nathan Frazier. We also have, obviously Axiom that happened on SmackDown as well. It does look like Tommaso Ciampa is going to have a match with Dragunov for the U.S. title, which I'm not against that at all. As far as I'm concerned, Ciampa and Johnny Gargano really haven't been doing a whole lot since they've been on the main roster, in my honest opinion, so I would not be opposed of seeing a match between Dragunov and Tommaso Ciampa. But like I said, man, it's one of the best things going on SmackDown is the U.S. Open Challenge. As far as SmackDown is concerned, though, there was a huge elephant in the room, a main vocal point that happened on SmackDown, and that is Drew McIntyre. We get to the main event, Cody Rhodes defending the Universal title against Bronson Reed, a match that was made pretty much earlier in the night, backstage. There was a confrontation between Cody Rhodes and Bronson Reed, and the match was made official by Nick Aldis. Then we get to the main event with Rhodes defending the Universal title against Bronson Reed. The match itself was a decent match, kind of a back-and-forth matchup. And then we see Braun Breaker and Logan Paul attack Cody Rhodes. Now, a lot of people didn't think that, they just thought, okay, this was going to be a normal attack. Nothing else is really going to come from this. We also seen Jimmy Uso. He was on SmackDown. He also announced that he will be teaming up with Cody and CM Punk and Jey Uso as well in the Wargames matchup. So we see the Usos come out to pretty much save Cody Rhodes. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when everybody thought that he was going to be taking some time off, we see the return of Drew McIntyre. McIntyre comes out of nowhere. He attacks the Usos and ends up hitting a Claymore kick on Cody Rhodes, leaving Rhodes helpless in the middle of the ring. So it looks like the Vision has acquired Drew McIntyre to join their team going into this year's War Games. So now, on paper, we have, for the Vision, we have Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, and the newly acquired Drew McIntyre joining the Vision team. Where on the other side of the coin, we have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jimmy and Jey Uso. 4-on-4 for right now. But then we also hear on commentary from Michael Cole last night that even with the Vision acquiring Drew McIntyre, you can also hear Michael Cole saying that there's one more slot left for the Vision. Now, this has got a lot of people talking. Some people talking. To me, to be honest with you, the only person that would logically make sense to be this other person, and I know some people are going to say, well, it could be Austin Theory, it could be this, or it could be that. I'm going to be honest, man. I think the other person that should round out this team, due to the fact that there is some alliance there with Paul Heyman, would be Brock Lesnar. I think it should be Breaker, Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar on the Vision side of things going into War Games. Where on the other side of the coin, we got Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and to round out the team, the babyface team, would be Roman Reigns. I think Roman, with Jimmy and Jey, Rhodes, and Punk going up against Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, as well as Brock Lesnar, I think that's the match to make. I don't see it being anybody else at this time, bro. That logically makes sense. Because if you guys go back to it, I even said the same thing, I think, that when Cody Rhodes was brought in to this War Games matchup, and you see William Regal announce War Games backstage with the likes of Rhodes, Punk, and Jey Uso standing next to him backstage, a lot of people were pretty much up in arms, or if not confused, on why is Cody Rhodes joining this team? Why is Cody Rhodes, he's got nothing to do with Division. Now he does. Now Cody Rhodes has everything to do with Division because pretty much his arch nemesis that he's been dealing with for the past few weeks, Drew McIntyre, has seemingly joined Division going into this year's War Games. So Cody Rhodes now has a lot to do with this matchup at War Games, most specifically with Drew McIntyre. There's some unfinished business there between Cody and Drew. So now we know why Cody Rhodes is now in this War Games matchup. And it makes sense, bro. Obviously, there's a lot of hostility there between Drew and Cody. And now that with Drew McIntyre joining the Vision going into War Games, we know why they picked Rhodes to go into this matchup. Jimmy Uso also announces that he will be joining this team as well. So to me, it just, on paper, the two guys left for both their respective teams would have to be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at this point. And to be honest with you, am I against that? No, I'm not. I'm not. I think that's the money match to make. I think with them being at the Padres Stadium in San Diego, they should go all in, all out, to be honest with you. I think adding the likes of a Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar onto these teams, respectfully, would only intensify this match even more than what it is. And Roman has been a part of some War Games matches. So, I mean, to me, logically, it just makes sense. I don't see anybody else that would, at this point, logically, that would make sense to be slotted in for both the respective teams going into War Games, besides Roman and Brock Lesnar. So again, it was big seeing Drew McIntyre on SmackDown. I thought he was going to take some time off. I thought he was also filming a movie. I think it was also like Highlander or some shit like that. So I thought he was going to take some extensive time off. And we weren't going to see Drew McIntyre until maybe after Survivor Series, to be honest with you. But that's not the case. So I'm excited for War Games. It looks like it's starting to slowly, the vision's starting to really clear up here as far as where we're going with this year's War Games. So I'm excited for that. And there's other things that I really wasn't thrilled with either on SmackDown. The Jade Cargill B-Fab match, I can give a rat's ass about it. Look, bro, I'm going to be honest, man, and this might be a hot take for a lot of people. I knew Jade having that match with Stratton. I knew Jade was going to go over and beat Stratton for two reasons. One, Stratton did look injured. It looks like she was not 100% going into that match, defending the women's championship against Jade. And it was Jade's time. Because if Jade took another L in this matchup against Stratton, I don't know where they were going to go with Jade. And I predicted Jade to beat Stratton in that matchup. But I will say this, and I stand on business with this, bro. Jade, I don't know what kind of title run she's going to have. But if I'm being brutally honest, I really hope it's not long. To be honest. And I'm not one of those people where, oh man, you're always critical for on the women of pro wrestling. No, I'm not. If anything, I praise the women of pro wrestling. I mean, honestly, look what happened with the AEW Blood and Guts match for the women. I thought it was way better than the men's. I thought they showed up and showed out in that matchup. I've also praised Naomi when she turned heel. There's no hatred at all. But I will say this, bro, and I've said it from day one. Jade Cargill is not it. It's just, I'm sorry, man. It's just, she's not it. I understand what they're trying to do here with Jade, and I get it. But she is still green as grass, bro. You look at those goddamn power bombs that happened on SmackDown, they were just absolutely brutal. And honestly, she really could have injured B-Fab in those power bombs. I'm not sitting here saying that B-Fab is any better. I'm just putting that out there as well. I'm not saying B-Fab is 100 times better than Jade Cargill, because she's not. But I am concerned with Jade being the women's champion right now in the way that she wrestles. She needs time, bro. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know how much time she has to develop as a pro wrestler at the age that she is at this point. Or how much time that she's willing to truly put in to better her craft in the professional wrestling realm, if you will. I don't see it, bro. I think Jade, somebody actually made it a point to me, and I honestly, I kind of believe him a little bit. I had a friend of mine that said, Jade has a lot of resemblance to two people. She has a lot of resemblance, obviously, to Goldberg, especially, a lot of people say the shot in the pan, if you will. And a lot of people said that Goldberg's career was kind of a shot in the pan. A lot of Goldberg-ish. And there was somebody else that they actually brought attention to. And I don't know why. It kind of like resonated with me for a second. But a friend of mine also says that Jade Cargill is also giving off a lot of vibes of a Sid Vicious. Where Sid came in as this indestructible force, this Millennium Man. And he was really known for the powerbomb. But there really wasn't nothing really special about Sid as far as his size, his stature, and the devastating powerbomb that Sid had in his matches. And I started to think about it, and I'm like, you know what? And I'm not sitting here taking anything away from Sid Vicious. I think Sid Vicious was awesome. But was Sid a wrestler that was throwing out these crazy maneuvers and all this other shit? No, he wasn't. Do I think that Sid was on the same level as a Bam Bam Bigelow? No, I honestly, for what it's worth, might be a hot take for a lot of Sid Vicious fans, but I think Bigelow is a lot better than Sid Vicious in the ring. That's just my opinion. But when a friend of mine told me that, I was like, you know what, bro? It actually makes a lot of sense. That when I look at Jade Cargill, there's a lot of resemblance to Goldberg and Sid Vicious, where it's a shot in the pan. I don't really see her having this long, elaborate career. I just don't, bro. To me, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm a Jade Cargill hater. I'm not. Because you guys could go back to what I said about Zelina Vega. And I'm happy that SmackDown is doing what they're doing with Zelina now, with her joining her husband and kind of being around him and kind of hyping Aleister Black up. I don't think Zelina really has a solid in-ring career, to be honest with you. And that's, people can take it as a jab if they want to, but it's the truth. I think she's better off with Aleister Black. I thought Zelina was better off with Andrade when she was the mouthpiece for Andrade, when Andrade was coming up through the ranks of NXT and going over to the main roster. She's great for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm happy that Zelina is with Aleister Black, but I wasn't happy with Zelina's title run as a U.S. Women's Champion. I wasn't. I thought it was a fucking joke. With Jade, obviously I think with what they're doing right now, and like I mentioned earlier, I think they're trying to set up a matchup here between Jade and Bianca Belair whenever Belair comes back from injury. This match could take place here soon. It could take place at the upcoming WrestleMania, where it could be Jade defending the women's title against Bianca Belair, and Belair is successful in becoming the new women's champion and beating Jade Cargill. But then you had to actually ask yourself after that, if that were to be the case, what's next for Jade Cargill, bro? Because honestly, she doesn't really have a high ceiling in WWE, in my opinion. I think Jade, and I'm going to say this again too, I think Jade and WWE they missed the curveball, bro. I think Jade should have, when she left AEW, Jade needed to go to NXT. 100%. 100%. Because Jade needed mic skills, she needed promo skills, she needed more in-ring training before she got directly called into the main roster. Because I can tell you right now, bro, there's so many women right now on the NXT roster right now that are better wrestlers and better promos than Jade that it's unreal. I can name two right now that should automatically be on the women's main roster. Number one being Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace she's run the ropes, bro. She's been around for quite some time, especially, most specifically in TNA. Jordynne Grace has it. She's got the promos, she's got the in-ring ability, she's got the size, she's got the stature, and she is a force to be reckoned with. And the girl can wrestle, bro. You also have Mariah May or Blake Monroe, who, again, can wrestle and also cut a really good promo, where Jade lacks in both those departments, bro. And that's my thing. I'm hoping Jade's title run is not that long, bro, because if it is, we're going to be in for a very boring title run, to be honest with you. And right now, on paper, they really don't have a lot of women to go up against Jade on the women's side of SmackDown, man. The women's side on SmackDown is fucking brutal. Their roster on SmackDown is a complete nutter shit show. Complete nutter shit show. So with Alexa and Charlotte Flair losing the women's tag team titles, I can see Charlotte going up against Jade. I can see Alexa going up against Jade as well, because they need competitors and number one contenders to go up against Jade for the women's title. They need it. Because right now, that the women's roster on SmackDown is very, very thin. Very thin. Almost laughable, almost. So they need new competitors for Jade. And hopefully her title reign is not that long. So that was one of the issues I had on SmackDown. One of them. The other one, I would say, the biggest one, is pretty much where are we going from here with SmackDown? And I know a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean? Bro, there was news that, and I really want to talk about this as well, there was news that broke over the weekend, which I wasn't thrilled about, that SmackDown, starting in the first of the year, in January, is going back to 3 hours from here on out, starting in January. I have a huge fucking problem with that. Because right now, bro, on paper, SmackDown can barely get past a 2-hour show that's actually worth a damn right now. Like I mentioned before, bro, the best thing going on SmackDown right now, easily, is the U.S. Open Challenge. And the fact that SmackDown is going to be moving their show from 2 hours to 3 on a Friday night is just absolutely brutal. Brutal. For an abundance of reasons, bro. Even the talent that are on SmackDown right now, they're hurting, man. Kevin Owens is out with injury. Yeah, we got the return of Drew McIntyre. Randy Orton is taking pretty much an extended vacation. We have not seen Orton at all. I don't know what the hell Orton's doing. Owens is out. Orton is taking a vacation. You know, Jacob Fatu is out with some kind of injury that he's dealing with. I mean, you got a lot of top talent, main event talent right now that are pretty much on hiatus or dealing with injury. So what is the main event scene truly going to look like right now on SmackDown, even when they go into 3 hours starting in 2 months? With some of these top talents missing from SmackDown. I mean, we're barely getting through 2 hours of a show now, bro. It's brutal. So when this announcement was made, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here, bro? Honestly. Why are we considering moving SmackDown back to 3 hours when the fans were up in arms about the fact that SmackDown was 3 hours just a few months ago? It was fucking brutal. Nobody wanted to see SmackDown go to 3 hours. But now, WWE and the powers that be, we should put SmackDown back to 3 hours. Bro, your SmackDown is brutal. You lost a lot of top talent. A lot of top talent that's out with injury or taking vacations or extended time off. And they're nowhere to be seen or found. And you want to move this show to 3 hours. Well, if that's the case, then Triple H, Hunter, needs to call Shawn and bring in some of this NXT talent. I'm talking of the likes of a Jordan Grace, a Blake Monroe, maybe an Ethan Page, maybe an Oba Femi if they decide to do something with Oba Femi. These talents that are on NXT need to be called up and gone to SmackDown. Or we get a possible trade between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. There needs to be drastic change for Friday Night SmackDown with them going to 3 hours. Because right now, they just don't have the fucking talent, man. They just don't. SmackDown right now has little to none talent. And while I do respect the likes of a Cody Rhodes and shit like that, bro, they need talent on SmackDown. They just do. So if I was the powers that be, I'd be calling Shawn down in NXT and be like, bro, we need to call some talent up. Jordan Grace, Ethan Page. I don't know what Tony D'Angelo's doing. Bring him up to SmackDown. Oba Femi. If that's an option, bring him into SmackDown. They need something on SmackDown to get the fans actually invested in SmackDown. We also need story, which has also been lacking heavily for Friday Night SmackDown. So there needs to be a lot of change for SmackDown before they go to 3 hours, bro. Seriously, they need some call-ups, man, or a draft, something. Because SmackDown does not have the talent to last 3 hours, dude. They just don't. When this was announced, I wasn't happy at all. I was not happy. I think a lot of people were actually kind of pissed off that we got this announcement from SmackDown going to 3 hours. The other thing I want to quickly talk about too, and I forgot to mention it, I don't know why, Zack Ryder. He had a huge ovation from the crowd when he was the mystery opponent for LA Knight. A lot of people have been patiently waiting to see Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, return to WWE. But I'm going to be honest, from the news that I've heard, bro, a lot of people are saying the Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona appearance in that match against LA Knight was a one-off. And that he is not signed or re-signed with the company. And that it was just a one-off, being of the fact that they were in Albany, New York, and they were trying to make the tournament interesting for the Last Time Is Now tournament, with a lot of these opponents having mystery opponents for these the Last Time Is Now tournament matchups. So, from what I've heard and what I found out, Matt Cardona, a.k.a. Zack Ryder, has not signed a deal with WWE, and he is back on the independents as of now. Now, that could change, but right now it seemingly seems as if he's going to be staying on the independent scene or working for other companies on the independents. Which, honestly, for what it's worth, bro, I think that's a shame. I think Zack Ryder, would be immensely over, obviously, on the main roster. A lot of people have been patiently waiting for the return of Zack Ryder. He got a huge ovation from the crowd in Albany on SmackDown with the return of Zack Ryder. Hopefully Triple H and the powers that be can make the right move and bring in someone like Matt Cardona. I think Cardona or Zack Ryder, especially for SmackDown, it couldn't make things worse than what it is now on SmackDown. So I think they need names like Zack Ryder on a SmackDown, bro, because right now they need the talent. They need the talent. And that's why I mentioned earlier about NXT. They need to start calling up some of these talents, man. Jordynne Grace on SmackDown would be awesome. Jade versus Jordynne Grace for the women's title, sign me up. They need talent. I don't know if Blake Monroe's going to get called up or not. Call her up. Ethan Page, go to SmackDown. Tony D'Angelo, go to SmackDown. These names need to be called up and can really honestly considered to be called up and gone to SmackDown, especially if they're actually going back to 3 hours in January. They need the talent, bro. They absolutely need the talent and story. So, again, am I thrilled about them going back to SmackDown or SmackDown going back to 3 hours? Hell no. I think it's a huge, huge mistake. The other thing I want to quickly talk about, too, even though it doesn't really necessarily pertain to SmackDown, there was also news that also broke over this weekend. Now, this is not 100% official, but something that was very interesting and very telling. There was news that broke over the weekend that obviously TNA has been slowly trying to work out some kind of elaborate TV deal to have TNA on a broadcasting network. And the ideas have been floating around of who's going to be the person that puts TNA on their streaming services or TV deal. A lot of people are talking about Paramount Plus, Netflix, CW, ESPN. Well, there was news that broke over the weekend that TNA might have found a new home, and that new home possibly might be none other than AMC. Now, a lot of people are like, well, what the hell do you mean AMC? The same people that make, other TV shows and more popular TV shows. It's an older network that's been around for a while, but AMC are trying to be in at least conversation talks of acquiring TNA to showcase TNA on their network. So this is a big deal. And was I shocked with the possible announcement or the rumor of AMC trying to get in talks to bring TNA as part of their programming? I was a little shocked considering the fact that AMC is more of an old school movie channel. To be honest with you, they've been around for a very, very long time. So I was shocked. I know there was also rumors that TNA might also be in talks with A&E. That was also something that was floating around for a while as well, and the CW network as well. So, look, man, I think, for what it's worth, TNA is on the up and up. I don't watch TNA's product as of right now. I have watched TNA's product in the past, just as a fan. But TNA is on the up and up. And obviously the working relationship with them and WWE is really panning out for TNA, especially with them helping them get a TV rights deal. So, obviously it's benefiting TNA a lot. And TNA, yeah, they are on the front doorstep, if you will, as being the number 2 company in the States. Or in the world, for that matter, right now. 100%. TNA they're doing big shit over in TNA right now. And TNA is very close, or at least on the president, of securing a TV rights deal going into January 2026. And do I think it's very likely that they will get a TV deal going into 2026? Absolutely. The way things are starting to slowly unravel right now for TNA, in a good way, yeah, I can totally see them somehow securing a TV rights deal going into 2026. Absolutely. And to be honest with you, I'm all for it. I think TNA's been doing really good things over there, obviously. There's been some controversies here and there on TNA, especially, the whole Mike Santana thing, and they're trying to play up that story and everything else like that with Frankie Kazarian being the TNA World Champion. But I think TNA, like I said, man, they are on the doorstep of being the number 2 wrestling company in the world right now. Hands down. If we're even going off the coattails of Chris Jericho, even Chris Jericho said that he believes that TNA is the number 2 wrestling company in the world. So that's a lot of praise from Chris Jericho for TNA. So again, they are on the doorstep of signing a new TV rights deal to showcase not only TNA, but TNA's talent, which I'm all for that. Absolutely. And honestly, it makes things very interesting for all parties involved, whether it's WWE, TNA. Also makes things really interesting for AEW as well, because with TNA acquiring that TV rights deal possibly going into 2026, there could also be talents that go to TNA as well from AEW or WWE or vice versa, or other people on the independents, because they see what TNA is doing right now. TNA is definitely a competitor right now in the realm of pro wrestling in the States, whether it be WWE, AEW, and now obviously TNA. So they're in the running to be the number 2 company in the States right now, for sure. And I'm here for it, man. I'm all for it. But like I said, man, I wasn't thrilled with the announcement of SmackDown going back to 3 hours. Obviously, there's a lot of shit that needs to change for me to be super excited for SmackDown going back to 3 hours. Definitely NXT call-ups, possibly a draft between Raw and SmackDown, or some kind of trade back and forth here between SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, and better storytelling on SmackDown. Because, bro, if we're going back to 3 hours like they're saying, there needs to be a quick change and a major change for SmackDown to get fans invested on a Friday Night SmackDown for 3 hours on a Friday night. Because I'm going to tell you right now, bro, even at SmackDown, honestly, at the end of the day, it's in a shitty time slot, because it's on a Friday night at 8 o'clock, and now you want to go from Friday night at 8 o'clock and usually ending from 8 to 10, now ending from 8 to 11 on a Friday night, bro. It's a brutal, brutal time slot. Because I can tell you right now, when it pertains to Friday nights and the summers and shit like that, springtime, there's not going to be a whole lot of people that want to sit down and invest 3 hours of their time on a Friday night watching SmackDown. Especially with the shit that we've gotten on SmackDown as of late. There's no way there's going to be people out there that really want to invest their time watching SmackDown every Friday night for 3 hours, especially with the shit we've been getting on SmackDown. It's just a shitty time slot. It's a shitty spot to have. And to be honest with you, I think this is going to be something that's ultimately going to kick WWE in their ass, to be honest with you. It's going to backfire big time. 100%. SmackDown needs to stay 2 hours. I think right now, with the time slots that we have for both Raw and SmackDown, are perfect where they're at. Raw is usually roughly about 2.5 hours. We got SmackDown roughly about 2 hours. That's good enough, bro. Having, Raw 2.5 hours and SmackDown 3 hours, it's just absolutely fucking brutal. We do not need it. We don't. And if that's where we're going, and it seems like we are going that way with a 3 hour SmackDown, there has to be drastic changes to SmackDown to actually get the fans really invested and intrigued with what SmackDown is doing on every single Friday night for 3 hours. So, again, not happy about the news, but we're going to see how it plays out for Friday Night SmackDown moving forward, especially going into the new year. But with that being said, though, this is my review of Friday Night SmackDown. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.